2016. Federal agents enter Leonardo DiCaprio's Beverly Hills estate with a warrant. They move past his Academy Award for The Revenant and begin documenting a private gallery of a very different nature. Item by item, they photograph and log millions in high-end art as criminal evidence. They tag an original Picasso valued at $3.2 million, then move to a Jean-Michel Basquiat canvas worth $9 million. They seize a specific piece of cinema history, the physical Oscar statuette that originally belonged to Marlon Brando, which had been sitting in DiCaprio's private collection. By the end of the raid, the FBI has confiscated over $30 million in property from one of the most celebrated actors on the planet. Every item is officially classified as stolen goods. DiCaprio had been a high-profile recipient of plundered property. These artifacts, sitting in his living room for years, were the final link in a massive, continent-spanning conspiracy. To find the source of that stolen art, we have to look at a single night in Las Vegas 4 years earlier, a $3 million birthday party hosted in an ultra-luxury suite at the Palazzo Hotel. The event featured live performances by Kanye West and Jamie Foxx, while global pop icons were paid six-figure sums just to appear. The room was packed with supermodels and tech billionaires drinking $10,000 bottles of champagne. At the center of the crowd was the birthday boy, a 31-year-old Malaysian businessman named Jho Low. He looked like an accountant who had wandered into the wrong VIP lounge, but he was bankrolling the entire spectacle. During the night, Leonardo DiCaprio walked up, laughed, and posed for photographs with him. This encounter established the friendship that would lead to Low gifting DiCaprio tens of millions of dollars in museum-grade art. Low was funding this lifestyle with $4.5 billion he had siphoned directly from the Malaysian government. He was using the greatest hidden theft in history to fund the most public, extravagant display of wealth in the world. The heist began at the University of Pennsylvania in 2005. Jho Low was an unremarkable business student with no political power or family billions. He built his initial network by borrowing money from small investors back in Malaysia and spending it immediately on massive, exclusive parties for the social elite. He recognized that if you spend lavishly and act with absolute confidence, people rarely question where the money comes from. They simply assume you can afford it. This strategy allowed him to bypass traditional social barriers and embed himself in the inner circle of the stepson of Malaysia's rising political star. By 2009, that political star, Najib Razak, became the Prime Minister of Malaysia. He immediately created 1MDB, a state-backed sovereign wealth fund that successfully raised over $6 billion in capital. Prime Minister Razak gave Low total, unmonitored access to the $6 billion fund. Low held no official title and appeared on no public records, yet he was the one directing the flow of the cash. Years of calculated networking had allowed a con man to bypass all financial oversight, weaponizing the blind trust of a nation's leader. In 2012, Low shifted his focus toward Los Angeles, positioning himself as a high-stakes film producer and founder of Red Granite Pictures. He used $100 million in stolen Malaysian state funds to finance The Wolf of Wall Street, a film depicting the exact type of financial fraud he was currently committing. On set, he played the role of the ultra-wealthy benefactor, handing DiCaprio the multi-million-dollar Picasso and Basquiat paintings as if they were casual birthday presents. He spent $8 million on rare diamonds for supermodel Miranda Kerr just to make an impression at a party. Hollywood's elite accepted the jewelry and the champagne without question. They saw a man spending like a billionaire and concluded he must be one. This was the core of Low's strategy. When you produce Oscar-nominated films and give Picassos to A-list actors, global banks and international investors assume you are legitimate. The luxury was a deliberate smokescreen. It kept auditors focused on the glamour, while the $4.5 billion was moved through the back door. Moving that much money required a transition from Hollywood glitz to the quiet mechanics of international wire transfers. Instead of funding schools or hospitals, 1MDB began routing that money into fake investment entities. This simple diversion was the foundation of the entire heist. Low created a network of hundreds of shell companies, hidden in tax havens like the Seychelles, Switzerland, and the Cayman Islands. These were empty entities with professional names, but no real business operations. For example, 1MDB wires $1 billion to a shell company in the Seychelles for a fake infrastructure project. On paper, the transaction looks entirely legal. The money sits for 48 hours before being fired over to Switzerland, then Singapore, and finally to the Cayman Islands. It bounces through jurisdictions with strict secrecy laws to create a regulatory maze. Because the global banking system is fragmented, each bank only sees one piece of the chain. No single auditor saw the full picture of the public's money moving in a circle. In March 2013, 1MDB transferred $1.03 billion for a fake energy project. This single transaction shows how easily compliance officers were deceived. Low named his shell company A-Bar Investments PJS Limited. There is a real, legitimate multi-billion-dollar state company in Abu Dhabi called A-Bar Investments PJS. By adding that one word at the end, he created a perfect counterfeit. When auditors glanced at the name, they assumed the money was going to the legitimate state entity and approved the billion-dollar wire. The largest financial heist in modern history was achieved through the power of basic paperwork and a well-funded Hollywood illusion.